That fresh produce stand there. That's a beauty.
What do you listen to?
My favorite murder podcast.
Taggart and Torrance podcast.
The produce stand.
Fucking sexy.
It's Thirsty Thursday, and that means we are once again hanging out at the Produce Stand, a podcast paying tribute to the great Canadian show Letterkenny. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are many other podcasts about Letterkenny out there, but this one forgot to write the bit for this part here, so we're going to just skip over it. I'm Al, your host. It's been a long week. And joining me in the room, as always, is the lovely Tanya. And online, we have Squirrely Matt and the virtuous Victor. And joining us this week for his regular end-of-season appearance, he is the host and producer of the How Are You Now podcast, of PodScure, and he's the producer of Boondocks Pod. And he's a good guy. He's a really good guy. Make some noise for Dean Giles.
Wondrous.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Wait.
Oh my god.
I regret nothing.
Welcome to the Produce Stand.
All fuck.
That's right.
How are you now, Dean?
Good, and you?
Not so bad. Welcome back. Thank you once again for joining us today. We look forward to these every few weeks.
As do I.
All right. Tonight's lineup is going to be Tanya, Al, Victor, Matt, and Dean. Our guest will have the last word. So we're going to start with,
How are you now?
how was your week, Tanya? Sporting the Produce Stand T-shirt, I see.
I am.
Wearing my...
Very distracted.
I stole it today. I said, "Yep." Oh, now
Yeah,
I'm too
it's-
quiet, am I?
It's my T-shirt she's wearing. I guess I have to buy her one now.
God, it's just been such. It's to say that things are busy right now is an understatement. So our oldest is graduated.
Grade 8.
And it's like every day is a new way to celebrate. So they did a virtual ceremony, then they did a drive-by clap out, and all the cars kind of went through the school. And our 7-year-old, who's in grade 2, is just bouncing off the walls right now because every day is just fun day from here on out, and it's just been so distracting and really difficult to work amongst all the stuff going on. So
And the end of the school year is coming up next week. So yeah, the kids are very distracted, and that doesn't help the fact that you're super busy at work right now.
Work is not going well. I'm very busy at work, and yeah, it's all just a big pile. So we're looking forward though. Next week is going to be Canada Day on Thursday for us.
For everyone outside of the country, that's our kind of July 4th.
That's our
It's July
4th.
1st. And,
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Canada.
So we have butted up some vacation time with that, and looking forward to some downtime and some R&R, and just to kind of stop for a little bit and have some fun. So looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. And numbers are really, really low in the area. So things are kind of starting to get back to normal around here. The lockdown is lifting slowly, but it is lifting. And
Still can't get myself a second shot though. Kind of getting bummed out about that. Every day is a new, fingers crossed, that I'm hoping to get my concert ticket to shot number 2, but hasn't worked out yet.
It'll happen. We've got our appointment booked for August. We're just trying to get it earlier, and they're telling us that we can get it earlier. It's just a question of finding a time to book. We bought the boy his first smartphone as his graduation present. So he's going from 8th grade to high school next year, and he's the last one in his class not to have a smartphone. So we were like, all right, if he's going to have one, now's probably the time. He's going to be going to high school in another
next town over, yeah.
And it'll probably, in the last year and a half, there's been no need for him to have a smartphone. He doesn't leave the fucking house. So now that he's leaving the house, we got him. So he was very happy and ecstatic about that. And then all the things that come with it. He got his first wrong number call the other day, and he was all giddy about that. and he's already had 1 or 2 fucking
he had a
telemarketer calls.
He says,
so.
my visa's overdue. And he's like, I don't even have a visa. So he's everything is exciting right now.
Everything's exciting. Everything that drives us crazy, he's getting a real kick out of it.
Kind of
until he gets the duck cleaning calls.
Oh, I know, right?
I know, right? It's entertaining to see somebody enjoy those things that aggravate
until
us.
somebody shows up at your house with the duck cleaning equipment.
Yeah.
I literally had someone call yesterday, and normally I'm pretty nice. I was pissed off. I was having a rough day, and as soon as I said duck clean, I'm like, fuck off, and I hung up. I'm like, I'm just not in the mood today.
We used to get those multiple times a day, at least 2 or 3 times a day. Dean, is that a thing down there, like duct cleaning, where like telemarketers trying to sell you on duct cleaning?
I don't know, because if I don't recognize the number,
you don't answer.
I don't answer it.
Yeah.
I mean, because my phone usually pops up and it'll say unknown number, scam likely.
Oh, really?
Really?
I need that feature.
Scam
I mean, they're
likely.
basically 90% of the calls that come in are scam likely for me.
We had this
but even if it's somebody I know, I generally don't answer either. So I'm like, what the? If you know me, don't fucking call me. Text me.
It's so fucking true, right?
In Seattle, they call and ask if they want to clean your Kraken.
We had this thing like a few years back where you could call and say,
the do not call list. That never worked.
And it did not work at all.
No.
You could report people and they didn't care.
Yeah. Victor, how's your week?
It's it's pretty good. Feeling very powerful today because because I called the city. Inquiring as to why my water has a lot of iron content in it, because I'm the only one on the block who decided to install a filter in my basement, and noticed that it only takes 4 weeks for the filter to go from white to orange. And
we have that same issue here. Yeah.
So I think everybody does. But anyway, so I called, and the guy came out and said, we could do an area flush. I said, what is that? And he said, well, we can kind of flush out the water in your zone. I said, well, what about the other zones? Well, we could do a unit flush. I said, okay, what does that mean? We flush out all the fire hydrants on your street. So I said, that one.
Wow.
Take one of those, please.
So he said, okay. I said, so how likely is that actually going to get approved and it's going to happen? I'll see what I can do. And so that was 2 days ago. And there was a guy today on the street flushing every single fire hydrant out on the street, and there was like a big flood on the main road. And so I made that happen. And everybody's like kind of looking out their windows, wondering what the hell's going on. Should we gather the animals? Everything worked out, and I guess we'll see in 4 weeks if my filter that I'm going to replace tomorrow is going to still be orange in 4 weeks.
When Victor says jump, everyone says how high. Wow.
You threatened to give him a bad review on the podcast, didn't you? You threatened to compost. I know you did.
He looks like a Letterkenny listener or a watcher.
So he's a degen from upcountry. Matt, how's your week?
I'm just happy to be here. I'll put it that way. I know. I'll start off. I mean, I got to give a shout out to Stephen Walker from last week. I know I had to duck out of the cast a little early last week, dealing with some issues with my little guy. Didn't get a chance to say goodbye properly. Thank him for being on the show. So I do want to say that he was a great guest, a blast. I'm looking forward to having him back again some other time. But I mean, the tone of that night has just carried on since last week. My little guy has been a little sick. It's funny. He's got this weird cough, and we had to go through it, get him COVID tested as well, just from a daycare perspective, because they were like, oh, you have a symptom. Now you can't come here. You got to get the COVID. The whole debacle in itself. He was fine. We never suspected it was COVID. But of course, right now in the world, anytime anyone has anything, it's COVID.
Yeah.
But he's so during the day, he's perfectly fine. He's playing, he's eating, random coughs. But at night, as soon as he lays down, it's brutal, and it's keeping us up all fucking night. And so I'm on like 4 to 5 hours of sleep if I'm lucky. In the last 7 to 24 days, something like that. But it's okay.
It's quite the range.
7 to 24 days.
Just give him some puppers.
Life's a blur. Fuck it. But so like I said, I'm happy to be here. It's been an interesting week, but this is definitely a highlight. And these are always fun. So I'll leave it at that.
All right. Dean, how was your week?
Actually, it was pretty decent, So this last weekend was my son's graduation from high school.
Nice.
That's the real graduation, guys.
I get it. Well, you know what?
So-
Okay, I agree that every grade shouldn't be graduation, but 8th grade to high school is. I mean, we had a grad night when I was growing up. We had a grad night. We had diplomas. We had the whole thing. But yeah, I agree. Like from kindergarten to first, from third to fourth, none of that should count. But yeah,
but yeah, he graduated on Saturday, and Sunday was Father's Day. Do you do Father's Day?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, is it on the same day that we do it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's called North Pear Day.
So anyway, my daughter, she couldn't stay down. She came down for Evan's graduation, but she couldn't stay for Father's Day. But she brought me a batch of cookies, chocolate chip cookies that she made, which are very heavily cannabis infused.
Very nice. Very nice.
Done.
Pot cookies for pops.
My daughter's 21. She turns 22 in November. But yeah, my son came over on Sunday afternoon, and we both went for pedicures, and then we went for pie.
Wow.
Nice.
This was after the cookies, right?
Well, it was. Yeah, I had some the night before, but I mean, last night I had like 3. But
Just keeps on going.
Wow. I mean, what goes good with cookies is coffee. I know it's late, but Tanya, would you like a coffee?
Yes.
Victor, would you like a coffee?
I'd have a coffee.
Matt, would you like a coffee?
I am so surprised we're not having a coffee right now.
Great, because as you know, Diabolical Coffee is now being served at the produce stand. It's devilishly good coffee and diabolically awesome swag. There's a roast for all tastes and even some you didn't know you wanted. You can order whole bean, coarse, and standard grind and espresso. Or if you're like Tanya and me, there's a K-Cup option for single cup brewers. We got ours this week, and it's actually very tasty. And for the duration of season 6, and actually we just learned last week, he's staying on for another season. So season 6 and 7 of our podcast, you can use the promo code Produce Stand for 10% off anything in the store. That's 10% off any coffee or merch. So thank you, Eric at Diabolical Coffee, for your support this season and for your upcoming support next season. And speaking of support, we have 21 new Twitter followers. So sit tight. Here we go. Jamie Winpenny from Honolulu, Hawaii. That might be our first listener from Hawaii. I really want to. That's one place on the planet I can't wait to go to. Jeff Dunn, Covert of Coots, Atlas 2015, Otaku Zoku, McClay. What is this? I don't know. McClay P. Hands from Chicago, Canadian Star System Podcast, El Say, M. Westcott from Central Connecticut, Harley Gidry from Kyle, Texas. Isn't that where you're from, Dean? Kyle, Texas?
no, I'm from Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, Fort Worth. Yeah, that's right. Kristen Jones from Georgia, Nate Ream from Perry Heights, Ohio, Contrera from Landen. I'm going to think that's London, maybe. Jeff Brown Sr., Kevin Wilkins, A Cool Mom, Tim Bywater, Crime and Roses podcast from Atlanta, Dr. Big Beef, Jacob Manchiski from Green Bay, and Schmitty from Plainfield, Illinois. Thank you all for following and hopefully for listening. Where is that? Oh, here we go.
Well, don't bore us. Get to the chorus.
Last week, we recapped and reviewed the Letterkenny Valentimes episode, Valentimes Day. That episode got a fresh rating across the board, making it a unicorn. Our scientific Twitter poll, though, was kind of weird. 66.7% gave it a fresh only, 26.7% a clearance, and 6.7% a compost. Bizarre.
Really?
Yeah, I don't get it. Anyway, this week we recap and review all of season 6 with our buddy Dean. So, Tanya, have you done your homework?
There wasn't homework.
Well, the whole season's been homework. Anyway, I've done.
Have you reviewed your notes?
Yeah, stick to the shtick.
I'm like,
I've done my homework. Victor, have you done your homework?
second.
I have not done my homework.
No, Matt, have you done your homework?
I'd have a homework.
Dean, have you done your homework?
I'm surprised we're not having homework right now.
All right, we're going to start off with the first episode of the season called What Could Be So Urgent? You guys are such ball breakers today. Holy crap. What could be so urgent? So let's hear the limerick from that episode.
Both Wayne and Derry have flipped their scripts. Each find themselves in relationships. Now destined for bigger venues, which is bound to happen when you get that much practice throwing hip.
All right. So that was the one where we find out that Dwayne and Derry are in long-term relationships with Marie Fred and with a Nick. And we have a clip from that episode. In this clip, while we witnessed the birth of the popular news segment, Guess Victor's MVP. And Chad gives us his MVP. Goes to Glenn.
I have a new game. Name the MVP that Victor's going to choose, and you have to. Yeah,
we should write it down and then reveal it afterwards. Yeah, we'll do that for next time.
New game, for sure.
Chad, who's your MVP?
Not gonna lie, Victor. I did put Gary.
See, now that makes sense.
Honestly, there was like no character that I was like, none of these people like landed it for me, except for Gary.
Well, Gary's a hero. We need more Garys in the world.
That's right.
So the Gary we're talking about there is the Gary from the story, from the nuke story that Wayne, all the characters were talking about in that episode. That episode didn't quite hit the mark with any of us. No one gave it a fresh. Tanya, Chad, and myself gave it a clearance, and Matt and Victor somehow agreed and gave this episode a compost. The Twitter was also lukewarm on it. 53.8% did give it a fresh, but 38.5 gave it clearance and 7.7 compost. Dean, what did you think of this episode?
There were some really funny moments in there. I mean, like the whole
he's got to semi.
That was, I mean, Squirrely Dan coming in and seeing Derry laying there with his chubby. That whole thing is hilarious. And then Anik walks in. But there's some funny bits in there. But yeah, I wouldn't say compost. Clearance is, I mean, I wouldn't say it's quite fresh. It's not quite memorable. There's some memorable moments in it. Like, hard to see a Caesar, not want to see. Well, that's how they market Caesar. So that, just just those little pieces that are in there are pretty good. But overall, it's just okay.
Yeah. I think we're all kind of in agreement there. Although, again, Victor and Matt don't usually align on these things, and they both and Matt hardly. I can't remember you ever giving an episode of compost.
I don't remember. I think I gave one other. I honestly don't remember what it was though.
Yeah, our MVP
might have been Fart Book.
Yes, it was Fart Book. So our MVPs for that episode, Matt, you gave it to Derry. Tanya gave it to Derry. I gave it to Marie Fred. Victor gave it to Glenn, although he wanted to give it to Gary. And Chad did give it to Gary. So if you were to name an MVP for this episode, Dean, who would you give it to?
Gus.
Explain.
Because Gus has to walk over Derry's chubby. So,
all right.
See how far we're stretching in this episode?
You're familiar with how Victor plays the MVP game, I see then.
and can I just call it? It feels like, can you believe it? That was only 6 episodes ago, and that's when that game started. This Guess Victor. It feels like a lifetime, eternity ago.
I don't even
that we started the Guess Victor shit game, and we're already over it. And we're only 6 episodes.
No, you're over it. We did a vote, and the peeps on Twitter want us to keep going.
Yeah,
so
because they want us to. Yeah,
I forgot that was my idea.
It was
until I just heard that. I'm like, I did that.
You don't want to take any blame.
No, I don't.
You know when things seem like a good idea at the time, and then they just don't pan out right.
Like the nuclear bomb.
Exactly.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like a little bit.
What?
Let's move on to episode 2, which was Bush Party Season. Let's listen to that limerick.
For the Hicks, things are about to get rougher. The gym is crawling with chest puffers. but there ain't no good reason because it's Bush Party season and Wayne will show them who's tougher.
So in that one, we had our buddy Trace making his first appearance on the podcast. And Matt gives us his initial thoughts on the episode.
It was so amazing to watch. I thought that scene, it got me the fuzzies. Like I think you said it too, Trace. It was such a great scene. And there's just so much good. The relationship Wayne part, I actually love relationship Wayne. Mm-hmm. The complete cuteness between him and like, it's amazing. And I love, the arm thing. I don't know. This is, if it's anything less than a fresh, I figure it out. Like this is a good one.
All right. Hostilities have returned between the two besties from last week.
All is right with the world.
Back on track, guys.
So yes, it only took one episode for Victor and Matt to go back to their corners. So that episode got a fresh from Matt, Tanya, myself, and Trace, and clearance from Victor. What are your thoughts on this one, Dean?
It was honestly this one was also just kind of a clearance for me. I enjoyed the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the gun cocking. I always thought that was cute. But just the episode on its own was just okay.
Is this? I feel like we already heard. So in one of the earlier recaps, you talked about season 6 and onward. Mm-hmm. The story sort of like when they get to more storytelling, they kind of the whole vibe of the show changes a bit. Is this what we're hearing right now?
Yeah,
no, it is. I don't know. They're further on in this season. I'm just like looking through the episodes. It gets stronger. These like the first couple of episodes are just kind of meh. Great. For me. But I think, as they're built, I think that, they are building up the relationship between Wayne and Marie Fred. But it was just kind of the story behind it all was just, it was okay. Like I said, I like the fight. I like the introduction of the men and appers at the party. But yeah, I think the first two kind of build into what happens the rest of the season.
Yeah. So the MVPs for that episode, Victor gave it to Wayne as McMurray. Matt gave it to the Green G. So Matt, you see that was a Victor pick. I mean, the fact you gave MVP to the Green G was kind of abstract.
The Green G was the city episode.
This one here sets up the city episode.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
This one here is where they start saying this is some vigilante shit.
Gotcha.
Tanya gave it to Marie Fred, and I gave it to Roald. And Trace gave it to Shoresy. So Dean, who would you give it
Shoresy.
to? Yeah,
Shoresy. Yeah, that
was a fantastic scene.
Yeah, that was a good scene. It was small. That was a good one. Yeah.
Sorry, you gave this one a clearance, right?
Yeah.
Maybe let's talk about this real quick here. I mean, 2 weeks ago they announced Shoresy, a spinoff. What do you think? What are your thoughts about that?
I think if Kiso and Tierney are involved, they'll find a way to make it work. Mm-hmm. They've had shows where there have been characters that you haven't seen, like Wilson in Home Improvement. Yeah, he was always behind the fence. And he was there every episode. But I think that they'll find a way to deal with it. And you'll see some, the hockey players and whatnot. So they'll probably. I don't know if it'll be cool if Mark Forward's involved with it, being coach. Mm-hmm. But I don't see any reason why it couldn't be something hilarious. I mean, personally, I've always hoped for a Tannis spinoff.
Right.
But that's just me.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I'm a little concerned about a few things. Yes, you're right. There have been shows where a character's face is obstructed through the entire show, but it's not usually the main character. And this show is called Shoresy. This is his show. And the other thing that I'm going to be weary of is that voice. Like, I don't know if I won't get tired of that voice after a while. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Have we lost Matt, or is he just frozen? Like he's frozen.
I think he's shocked at your,
Matt's here. Oh, your picture is frozen.
Your video's frozen.
Yeah. Oh, and not
frozen in a very shocking state.
Yeah, not a very flattering pose. Maybe try to
screenshot. I'm moving. I can see me moving. I don't
Come
know what's
on,
going on.
it's very flattering. You just
On my sexy self.
maybe turn your camera off and then on again. I don't know.
Tell me what to do, Grant.
Okay, do whatever you want to do. Okay, well, I just screenshotted that. I'll post that to Twitter for everyone to see later. All right, we'll move on to episode 3, The City. Here's the limerick for that episode.
The Skids are in a drug feud entwined, their death warrant ungrammatically signed. Roll calls in the Hicks who begrudgingly stick to their word to help friends in a bind.
In that episode, we had our buddy Adrian as guest. And in this clip here, Victor gives his MVP for the episode.
The Skids are in a drug feud.
No, that's not it. This one here.
One job.
Now, hear me out. I'm not trying to be difficult or anything like that.
No, never. You would never do that.
Oh yeah, I'm so right.
But
This is like saying, I'm not a racist, but I'm not sexist, but go ahead, Victor.
But I genuinely feel that this character really took one for the team, and it really does deserve the MVP because it begs some questions. We are all kind of affected by the whole ostrich situation, and that's been such a thing. And now we have one of our own that's potentially taking part in some, mischievous, questionable activity. So I definitely have to. So I have to give the MVP to the goldfish.
Goldfish.
Oh man, I should have known.
Like you're redesigning
That is
boxes.
being difficult.
So there you go. Victor's MVP was the goldfish in the little baggie from.
What were they doing with that goldfish? Like, where was that going?
Dude, don't ask questions
Is
to which
that
you
a
don't want
thing?
the answers. So
Is it a thing?
it's all part of gay sex.
yeah, it's all
Is
or sex with gay. Matt, you're muted in case you're back, but you're muted.
No, I wasn't talking.
Okay.
Is everybody seeing? Seeing two
I'm
Matts
tripped
right
out
now?
by this too. I don't know why there's two of me on this.
Yeah, it's all messed
So
up.
now you're seeing what we saw.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. It's all gone. All right. Final rating for this one here. Matt, Tanya, Adrian, and myself gave it a fresh. Victor gave it a clearance. And Twitter gave it 90.9% fresh. And actually 9.1% compost. No one gave it a clearance. So that's, pretty divided there. Dean, what did you think of this episode?
This is a fresh one for me. I mean, Sarah Gadden as gay is just awesome. I mean, she the way she just commands the scene whenever she's there, and Tyler Johnston with his legs up in the air.
It's true.
It's that's just the best. So yeah, for me, this is a fresh one.
All right. The MVPs for this one here, I gave it to Rold. I thought he was great in this one. You just heard Victor gave it to the goldfish. Matt gave it to Derry. Tanya gave it to Katie. She thought Katie was strong in this one. And Adrian gave it to Rold as well. Who would you give this one to?
Gay.
Okay.
I don't know, guys. That goldfish went up the river without a paddle.
Went up
It's born with paddles.
Shit's Creek. All right, next episode, Dicks slip out. Let's listen to that limerick.
Noah and Anita are missing their dicks, so they come hat in hand for help from the Hicks. This leads to a crescendo of penis innuendo. It's enough to make even Glenn sick.
Joshua was our guest in that episode. It was really difficult to focus in this episode, as evidenced with this first joke that came out from Victor. Victor?
What do you call a Mennonite with his hand up a horse's butt?
Oh boy, I don't know what.
A mechanic.
All right.
Oh dear.
Okay, let's.
That's good.
We're gonna get canceled for that.
I don't know. I don't think so. But is an elbow considered a knuckle? Because that would be the fifth knuckle, no? Or maybe the sixth, if you include the wrist.
Knuckler.
Oh, and we're only at the intro.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a long night.
that was a long night. Just we couldn't stop laughing throughout that whole episode. And what an episode that got that was our first unicorn of the season. Fresh from Tanya, Victor, myself, Matt, and Joshua, 100%. And Twitter agreed 100%. So. Dean, do you dare disagree?
Completely. This is the best episode of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and my MVP is easily Anita Dyck.
Oh, right.
Sarah Wayne Callies is getting in
she was good.
in Tyler Johnston's face and
the
goat. See, I loved her. I mean, I already loved her, and then she came on this, and I loved her more.
Because when I first saw her, I didn't recognize her, and I'm like, "Oh Jesus Christ! It's from Walking Dead." And she was
Prison Break,
and she was also in. Let's see, was it? Jesus, it was something else that she was in. I'm forgetting it now. But yeah. It was hilarious. And Jonathan Torrens as Noah is just, he's just so good at playing that dry character. It's hilarious. And but Sarah Wayne Callies as Anita Dyck is amazing.
Tanya agreed with you that she also gave Anita Dyck the MVP. I gave it to Noah Dyck, to Jonathan Torrens. Victor, as Victor will do, he gave it to the penile innuendo. So basically the general theme of the episode. Matt gave it to Glenn, and Adrian actually gave it to Noah Dyck as well. Moving on to episode 5, different strokes for different folks. Here's the limerick for that one.
It's the calendar's longest day of the year, which means 100 minutes and shots of beer. But if you think cunt is a verbal affront, of McMurray you'll definitely want to steer clear.
And that's one of my favorite limericks. After Victor,
that's a good one.
After Victor gave his ridiculous MVP pick, which was the viewers who endured this episode, our guest Dennis. Yeah, laugh it up.
He's so proud of himself.
I know, right? Our guest Dennis tells us what his guess was for Victor's MVP, and it was gold. Who did you have for Victor?
Victor, I thought, like as the episode went on, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's STDs because, surviving this episode is kind of like having gonorrhea.
All right, I can see that.
All right.
Oh, that's funny.
So, Dean, you can probably tell it wasn't a favorite episode either. So this one got a clearance from Tanya, Matt, and myself. Actually, Tanya upgraded hers because she originally gave it a compost, and upon further reflection, upgraded it to a clearance. So
because Matt's optimism,
Matt manipulated her.
So
no, I had a very strong. Well, let's let Dean talk, and I'll explain my point.
So Tanya, Dennis, Matt gave it a clearance, and I gave it a compost, which is it's pretty rare for me, and Victor gave it a compost, which is on par for him, and actually this one here,
not true.
the Twitter rating for this one was really interesting because basically it was a split between fresh and compost were tied at 41.7%, and only 16.7% gave it a clearance. So even the general public were really divided on this one. Dean, what did you think?
I enjoyed a lot of the.
Well, now the sit-down pissers are tramping off to the bar. You guys want to talk about cunt?
So I'm a big fan of the word cunt, and I will use it a lot. But it's never about the genitalia. It's always just about it's referring to somebody who's cut me off in traffic, generally speaking.
It's a good percussive word. It's better than better than fuck. Fuck is too soft at the beginning.
Yeah. You couldn't. You just get that.
It's
out.
not as versatile. It's more like on point for what you're trying to get across.
Yeah. But the Wayne and Derry reenacting that McMurray doing cunt for
You
for
just want to
Murray
talk
Fred.
about cunt. Yeah.
The money's there for the cunt and the cunt's there for the money. I mean, they just totally hit them both. How dare you? They're so upset about it. But that part to me just that entire. I've watched that a whole bunch of times just because that part of it is hilarious. And just listening. I mean, even though their reenactments, their impression of McMurray is different. I mean, they both pick up on different aspects of how he speaks.
Yeah, they captured the McMurray spirit. Yeah. So what do you give this one then? Is this a fresh for you?
This is a fresh for me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I'll go back. So the argument when we were talking about this was I was saying, this show does a great job of exaggerating themes and stories and going way above and beyond. So I had this theory that they were actually trying to create this really deep sense of discomfort in this episode. Like you're either going to love it or you hate it. They're really trying to push you to like a bad taste in your mouth. And if that's what they were going for, I think they succeeded on every level because you kind of, they just tapped into so many different levels of discomfort and you hated the characters and loved them and they showed their true colors and I thought they did a great job in that aspect.
Well, also you got to think about Mrs. McMurray at the very end coming to Katie and telling the same fucking story, but just from, her picking up on men. So it's like, oh, well, I didn't realize this. So, okay, then.
Yeah, they showed the worst of all the characters, and then you just had to love them still or not. And I think they did a good job.
MVPs for this one, Matt, you gave it to Gail. Tanya gave it to Glenn. I gave it to Squirrely Dan. Once again, Victor gave it to viewers who endured. And Dennis gave it to Derry. So who would your MVP be for this?
Following in the path of Victor, I'm going with cunt. So
you're giving it to the cunt. Gotcha.
Cunt is MVP.
Good.
All right. On to episode 6. Here we go with the limerick.
The Hicks talk of space batching bros. Roberta Bondar wouldn't put up with those. What can Derry do? Annex instance fucking you. Meanwhile, Wayne is ready to propose.
That was my favorite one to record.
Well done. Well done.
You put the effort into that one. Good. Our guest for that one was our sponsor, Eric. And Eric got to witness Victor giving his MVP here and Matt voicing his displeasure.
Anyway, so he gave just an incredible performance. But the first start of the game, the MVP has to be Anik's Instagram account.
Oh my God! I thought I had it.
That's what got everybody off in the episode, right? That brought everyone joy.
True.
Character. That's a good catch.
So there you go.
Rosebud of the episode.
All right, we'll see.
Sure.
I'm normally good at games, but this one sucks.
Poor Matt. He just doesn't like a game. He has no chance of winning. That episode was another unicorn. Another unicorn, fresh from Victor, Matt, Tanya, myself, and Eric. And Twitter Twitter agreed. 61.5% agreed. 38.5% gave it a clearance. No compos here. Dean, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a fresh one too. It's a really solid episode, and it keeps the motor of it just kind of rolls throughout. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's any hiccups in it. You're constantly just jumping from one thing to the next. And one of the things I love about this particular episode is the blooper reel of Kiso trying to do the talk about Bondar and just not being able to keep from cracking up.
No, we'll have to check that out.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
All right. The MVPs here, you heard, sorry, Matt, did you have something to say or Victor? No?
Hard no.
MVPs here, again, Victor said Nick's Instagram account. Matt gave it to Scotty Wallace. Tanya gave it to Derry's clenched butt cheeks.
Yes, I did.
I was the only sensible one giving it to Roberta Bondar, and Eric gave
Canadian you,
and Eric gave it to Squirrely Dan. Dean, who's your MVP for this one?
Oh, see, I would have a double, and that would be Scotty Wallace and Roberta Bondar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's either that or Bad Gas. So,
awesome.
But yeah, that whole I just love that whole Roberta Bondar story.
I listened to it like 3 or 4 times when I watched the episode. I've already watched the rest. I'm like, I could just listen to that story all day.
Oh yeah, it's fucking hilarious. I mean, and just like they're down at space camp, and in the bar with all the other with all the other cadets, and
so
Beta Quadrant. And
one thing I brought up in this episode was that they really missed an opportunity because astronauts in training are not called cadets; they're called ASCAPs. They're called I forget what.
Not look into that.
I forget what it stands for, but something in astronauts in. Crap, I forget now, but it was like that.
ASCAP is my favorite theme on Pornhub.
Or maybe it was fun
fact.
Alrighty,
Tanya's getting her research ready.
You guys keep on talking. I got to look this up for a second here because
which one? Which one are you looking up? You have to look up
I hope
both.
it's the Pornhub one because that would be awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna shift this cast to a porn related. We should have done that during the Dick slip out recap.
Oh, sorry. ASCANs. That's what. So astronauts in training are called astronaut candidates, which is shortened to ASCANs. So I feel like that whole story would have benefited from the proper name even more. I think it would have been even funnier if they'd called them ASCANs instead of cadets. But
would it have taken away from how serious he was about his story?
I don't know. I mean, they were talking about fucking batching in space. I mean,
yeah, but they handled it as if they were having a serious hard discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Like they weren't laughing.
Oh, yeah.
They were like they were taking it in. And
yeah, but I could see either Wayne or Squirrely Dan interjecting, going, "Did you know actually it's a commonly misconception that they're called cadets? They're actually ASCANs," and
then it would take away from the story.
No, I don't. I disagree. I disagree. I think they missed they missed it there. All right, we move on to the final episode 7, the Valentimes Day episode. Here is a limerick for that one.
The matchmaker returns, but she did not expect all the different innuendo involving baseball and sex. But the apocalypse nears as Wayne and Stewart have beers and for a brief moment share some mutual respect.
And in this one, we find our guest Stephen, who way back in our first Ag Hall social, he called his shot. He made the prediction that the episode he was going to be on was going to be the episode that would dethrone Fart Book from Tanya's top 5. And let's see if he actually succeeded.
So it's really hard for me to bump it.
So what are you going to do?
I'm going to bump it.
So is Fartbook, is Fartbook coming off though? Because you still have number 4 is Fartbook, number 5 is Bush Party.
If I could put them side by side, but I know
you
that's
tried
not
this
allowed.
last time. It doesn't work.
I'm going to bump it.
So you've just made Steven's day. So does this become your number 4 or does Bush Party go up to number 4? And
I'm taking one out and putting one.
All right.
This in.
Can we all just take a moment to digest this?
Wait, I think Steven just Katie'd.
I know.
So that's referring to Katie's reaction to Ron during the speed dating and her orgasming, or at least looks like she orgasmed. Dean. Oh, so this one here it was a unicorn. We all gave it a fresh, including Steven. And Twitter gave it 66.7% gave it a fresh. 26.7% gave it a clearance, and 6.7% gave it a compost, which is weird, but okay. What's your rating?
It's fresh, definitely. I mean, there's between Dax and Ron with what they're doing with Katie, the matchmaker who's fucking hilarious.
She's amazing.
She's brilliant, and she would be my MVP of the episode.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, when I was talking to because I believe Trevor Risk wrote this episode,
or at least that's what the fandom site says. Yes.
Yeah. And so and Dax and Ron basically coming out as bisexual on this episode just kind of blew everybody's mind.
Yeah.
So I think that was great. I mean, and Coach just messing with Riley and about Lyle Lovitz and Sheryl Crow's fuck child and yeah. And
There's so many good lines.
He goes, that sounds like a really good chirp, but I got to Google that.
It's funny when I actually Googled it because I couldn't remember who Lyle Lovett was.
Yeah.
So as I'm watching, I'm doing the same thing.
And I'm thinking you're going to be Googling Lyle Odeline instead of Lyle Lovett.
Yeah.
I did that after, but I need to know what the,
both equally ugly people, but yes, very good.
Now wait a second. My wife takes offense to this. She keeps coming to Lyle Lovett's defense.
Oh, really?
Is he on her list?
Well, and the thing is, I mean, Julia Roberts thought he was something special. So
I know, it's weird.
It's I guess a woman's perspective is different than ours.
What's her name? Thought Billy Bob was special too. Angelina. There's a long lineup of beautiful women being with homely looking men.
Yeah. Seal was considered hot at one point too.
Yeah.
But Lyle Lovett is super talented, so I guess maybe there's that. So,
well, yeah,
Seal had a song.
He is.
Yeah.
He's got a great voice. Yeah, one of my favorite songs that he does, which I do at karaoke quite a bit, is "She's No Lady, She's My Wife."
Yeah.
So which is a hilarious song, but it's got a cool vibe to it. But yeah, get a chance to listen to it. It's funny.
Well, Dean, your pick for MVP was perfect because it was also my pick. I also said the matchmaker was MVP.
D-Gen.
Victor, no, you want to talk D-Gen. Victor's MVP was the matchmaker's unborn fetus. So
which I'm surprised there was zero reference to. It was just she was actually pregnant when she did it.
Yeah, it looks like yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, otherwise it would be kind of a weird thing for them to add to her, because they don't mention.
I know, but I agree. But it's just sort of a weird thing to have and then make no acknowledgement to it all. It's just sort of it's almost like a prop in the episode that you kind of like. All right, but
well, I think it's to make that first line that when Squirrely Dan says "I'm horny" the first time to make that even funnier, right? Because he sees her.
No longer horny.
No longer horny.
One thing that a bit of trivia on this, I'm sure that you've picked up on was the references by Stuart and Wayne of Don Cherry.
Yep.
Who both played Don Cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the last line Wayne delivers in the hockey rink is a perfect imitation of Don Cherry. Like it's like he did it in his Don Cherry voice when he shot the puck at Glenn and Glenn almost gets hit and he's like, "Keep your head up," or whatever he says is totally a Don Cherry.
And we touched on it a bit. I mean, I feel like that scene, those two must have just been like, I bet you that scene took a lot longer to shoot than it should have. Because those two were taken back to when they did the Don Cherry story together, and they're both on the ice. They both play hockey. Like that's their happy place there. I bet you that took a hell of a lot longer.
It did seem a little out of place to have Stewart, firing a hockey puck and a good shot too. Like he wasn't missing the net.
Oh no! One of the things I found interesting about that is Kiso was shooting right-handed because he is. If you're looking at the screen, he's on this side. And Stewart's on this side.
Yeah.
Right. So Stewart is shooring
left.
So
no, Stewart was right. Stewart was shooting right and Kiso was shooting left.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all right, maybe I'm misremembering that. But I do know that because that's one of the things that Tyler had told us about when they asked him to play Don Cherry, if he could do left, he goes, "Oh yeah, I could totally do that."
Yeah, no, so that makes even more sense because because I just recently watched it. So yeah. Kiso's on the right, so he's shooting left, and Stewart's on Johnston's.
I'm trying to picture it too. Yeah. I can see Dean's eyes. She's like,
Yeah, no, it's Kiso's on the right, so he's shooting. Oh wait, no, Kiso's on the right. He's shooting left. You're right. You're correct.
Yeah,
I'm getting all very confused. Unless it's one of those things where the camera.
This conversation is fast becoming a confrontation.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, yes, you are correct, Dean. Which is it's weird, but they were still great shots. So maybe they're just that talented. Matt gave it to his MVP to the name tags. And I haven't gone back to watch it.
I was about to bring up Rold's name tag with the circle over his around his A, because he had an anarchy symbol on his A.
Yeah. So that was the only one that caught my attention, though. What were the other ones? You'd mentioned it, but I don't remember.
Well, Derry was just like, it's like he didn't even learn how to read or write.
Oh, right.
It was basically chicken. I'm pretty sure my 6-year-old can draw better than Derry. So they just made me laugh. And I think the reason I just unanimously loved everything about this episode. I thought there was everyone represented really well. It was hard to pinpoint someone, so I was getting picky. And because the name tag specifically stuck out as something that made me laugh outside of the episode, I gave it to the name.
All right, so you basically gave up any reasonable ground in terms.
You could have gone with Dan's Valentimes cards.
Right? Yeah, they were nice.
I could have done that too.
They were super sweet. Tanya gave it. It was a 3-way tie for Tanya. She loved the scenes with Stuart, Wayne, and Glenn, so she gave it to all 3 of them. And Steven, he decided to join the Victor train and give it to double entendres. So there you go.
See, this game sucks.
I'm all about innuendo.
All right, let's move on to season ratings. So overall, Tanya, we're going to start with you. What do you give season 6 of Letterkenny?
I made all my notes and I've counted them up, and I gave them more freshes than clearances. So I'm going to say it was fresh.
Really? Interesting. Okay. Okay, this is what I'll say about this season. I mean, Dean, you've alluded to it. 3, 4, and 5, you called it. They were the best seasons. The difference in this season that I've seen, they went away from these standalone brilliant episodes and they went more to story-driven episodes. So they're continuing the storyline throughout each episode until the end. They kind of do that a bit in previous seasons, but any one of those episodes in the first 4 or 5 seasons, you can take one as a standalone and it's brilliance for the most part. It really, lots of jokes. They don't really care about furthering a storyline as much as they did in this season. I think that kind of made up for the tone of season 6. So looking back to my ratings, I mean, I gave it 1, 2, 3 freshes. Oh, 4 freshes, more than I thought. 5 freshes. Okay, so, but
the math.
No, I know. So it must be a fresh season, but it's really like it's not like 3, 4, and 5 are way better than, and I'd even put 1 above this season. But I'm a fan of the show, and so it wouldn't surprise me that even so far my least favorite season is still a fresh, but it's teetering. It's teetering between the two. But I'll give it a fresh. Victor, what do you give it?
Yeah, I'm torn with this one because, first let's put the Valentine episode to the side for a second because I still think that there's.
You've been proven wrong, Victor. Just get over it.
No, I still say that you could tag it on either to the end of this season or to the beginning of the next season.
Okay, whatever.
So I don't consider
you can subtract Valentine's Day. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So then we end up with 6 episodes. The first 3, I believe, I gave clearances, and then we get to the best episode of the Letterkenny universe so far of what I've seen, and then we're presented with Dean, you liked it, but I thought was so far the worst episode of the Letterkenny universe.
Different strokes.
And, yeah, sure. And then we're lifted back up with the final episode.
So you gave episode 1 also a compost, which was the.
Oh, did I? Yeah. So math tells us this is definitely not a fresh season.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that 4th episode is worth like 3 points. I feel like. So I don't know.
Even gets a 10 from the Russian judge.
It's just I can't imagine unless the whole cast comes back to do another episode like that later on in future seasons.
Well, the Dicks do pop up again. So
yeah, they do.
Well, yeah, but I mean, do they come in full force? Do you know what do they? It wasn't even meant that way. But
you're a natural, Victor.
It's serendipitous. But the thing is, if I just can't imagine anything like that again. That was when, you know, stars aligned, and it was just beautiful. So I don't know, like I'm torn. I want to give it a clearance, but then that episode is just so strong. So for me, it's maybe it's teetering between clearance and fresh.
Give me one, Victor. Give me one.
It's not an answer, Victor.
My table doesn't allow for gray.
Remember the time Tanya tried to put multiple episodes on the same rating scale, and we gave hard no?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, if I'm going to get bullied and peer pressured into it, I have to give it a clearance.
Okay.
You can. There's 2 composts and 2 clearances.
He's making us pay.
You obviously don't like it, so you may as well just let your no be no, and it's compost. That's what you feel about it. And so just let it fly.
Yeah, it's not a compost, but it's a clearance.
All right.
You don't like Letterkenny, and we understand that.
If you want to leave now, you just get the fuck out of here, Victor.
No, I gotta. You know, you have to stick to math and science.
It's a clearance season, but it is still the season that has your number 1 top rated episode in it.
Yeah.
Dick's slip up.
That is true.
There you go, Matt.
See, the great thing about this is we're back to our roots here, guys, where Victor and I are completely different. And it feels good again. And Hal, are you missing a tooth, man?
I am. We'll talk about that later.
Anya, are you abusing Al?
I've noticed this like 3 times. I'm like, did I just miss it?
I know you even messaged me on
Well, I didn't want to
Messenger.
call it out. You didn't.
Well, but you did
respond,
anyway, you fucker.
Yeah, well, I'm an asshole, so figure it out. The laneway's open, buddy. No, what I'll say about this season is, I mean, I actually really like it's a fresh. It's hands down.
Okay.
Fresh. I appreciate story. I love the previous seasons. I like that everything sort of felt almost standalone in itself and was brilliant in its own way. But as I said, I think, and one of the other reviews of this season is, you know, I'm not a sports guy. I'll call it out. I'm not a big sports guy. But some of my favorite movies in the world are sports movies because I love when there's a story intertwined into it. So I'm okay with that. So I thought this one did a good job. It did have its, what I call its miss, which I think was what could be so urgent. It had its concept episode, which I would call different strokes for different folks. I think they really tried to do something there. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was fine. But everything else was brilliant. And I really like how it all intertwined together. I laughed my ass off. There was some really good highlights along the way. And then it ended with, I don't know if it ended or beginning next season with Valentimes Day. I thought was so fantastic. I think that was probably the best holiday episode that I've seen.
Yeah, you called that out. Yeah, you're not a huge fan of the holiday episodes, but that one there, I mean, this one made your top 5. So
yeah, it was fantastic. So I mean, it's absolutely a fresh season for me, and I look forward to what comes. But I get what you guys are saying. It definitely, and I said this, I think in episode 1, the whole thing just felt like there was almost like I know there wasn't, but there's like different writers, a different vibe behind
Oh, there were. Yeah, I mean, this one here had, I think, 3 episodes written by Trevor Risk.
All right.
Which I think is more than usual. Oh, and didn't Torrance write the Dick Slip Out, or was that Risk?
Yes.
I forget.
No, I think Torrance. But anyways, yeah. So there was a different tone, and I'm okay with it. It didn't fail for me. I think it succeeded. But I can see where people might be torn.
So that would account for the difference in kind of tone for this season, because it seems like there's way more episodes here not written by Kiso and than before. So for sure, Dean, what do you give this one?
Well, I'm gonna kind of give Victor a little understanding here, but I will say in that the first 2 episodes were a stuttering start, but everything else for me was fresh, which made the season be fresh. Had those first 2 episodes been at the end, I probably would have had a different view of the season, just because of the way they went. So starting off, if you kind of stumble out of the gate, but you finish solid, I think you're okay. So for me, it's a fresh because of that. But I can I understand where Victor's coming from, because those first 2 are kind of, but then it gets going, and you kind of see the good parts of 1 and 2. So that's my view. So overall, it's a fresh. I would say it wouldn't take it too much more. Had there been a third stumble out of the gate, for me, that probably would have made it more clearance than fresh. So it's just kind of right on the border of there, but it's more, you better eat the bananas today because tomorrow they're going to be bad. So.
and for some, that stumble was the 5th episode. You liked it though.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. So there's where you two kind of diverge there. I mean, that's kind of the risk you have too when you go to a more story driven format, but you only have 6 episode seasons. Like in a regular network show, a season's 23 episodes, you're going to have half a dozen of them are going to be filler episodes, right? And they're just there to kind of further the story along. But when you have only 6 episodes in a season, you can't count. You got to make them count. And so in this one, I think for the first time, in my opinion, we had at least two episodes that were kind of filler. Actually, 3, from my standpoint, but 2 for Dean. All right. We're going to move on to listener comments. Excuse me. After last week's episode, we had a note from our friend Eliza. She says, whenever I listen to a produce stand, I get really caught up in it. And then sometimes they'll mention me and it always trips me out. I love having such a great connection to a podcast. I love listening so much. And Tanya was right about the moon, So that was from our friend Eliza. And she's alluding to
I made some comment about
astrology and all that stuff.
And she supported her.
Totally.
Yeah. She's a big believer in astrology, which is, different strokes. Somebody in the Twitter poll for the Valentine's episode, somebody said it's my favorite of the holiday episodes and top 3 of all episodes. I love it so much. I'm sorry I didn't get their name, but so there's that. Then we get some iTunes reviews. So just a reminder to everybody, we are doing a contest right now to win one of 4 of those Diabolical Produce Stand t-shirts. They're really cool looking. And all you have to do is write us an iTunes review before next week. So next week at the Egg Hall Social, we'll do the draw for the 4 shirts. Because Apple is Apple, it takes a couple of days for the reviews to show up. So please, if you want to get entered into the draw, submit your review now so that we can make sure you're in the draw for next week. So we have a couple here. This one's from Adrian, and it's a bunch of good guys, really good guys. 5-star, a great podcast that's loads of laughs with 4 friends sitting down and dissecting one of Canada's finest shows. Thank you, Adrian. Another one here. This one's titled Not About Produce. 5 stars. At first, I was disappointed that this was not about prices at my local produce stand, but was pleasantly surprised that it was about 4 friends talking about the best Canadian comedy, Letterkenny.
That would make me laugh.
That's funny.
I would give it 6 stars if I could. Do I hear 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5? Can we get a 9? 9? The man is back. Do I hear 9.5? 10, sold for 10 stars. That's from Justin Trollinger on Apple again. And one last one here. How are you now? 5 stars. Great group of guys and a gal who make you feel like you're one of the gang talking about life and one of the greatest shows to ever grace the small screen, Letterkenny. And that's what I appreciates about yous. And that's from Demolisher 3750, also known as Mike Low Ranger. So thank you, Mike, for your review. You'll all get
that previous one wasn't from Dickens.
So we'll talk about that next. So in news, we booked our next cast member guest. So on July 6th, we will be joined by Alex McCooey. He is the actor who plays Dickens on Letterkenny.
Oh my.
What is it? Something about coming to blows. It won't come to blows.
No slim pickings for Jim Dickens.
Anyway, I'm really excited, and I know Victor's giddy because he's one of Victor's favorite characters. So I've been talking to his agent, and apparently we found a date that is agreeable. So looking forward to having Alex on the podcast. If anybody has a question they want us to ask, DM us, and we'll try to get to everyone's questions. Also, as I mentioned, next week is the second Egg Hall Social.
I'm terrified.
Why is that?
Let's get real. Have you seen we have this DM group, which we mention every week, and this thing is out of fucking control. It's the most hilarious thing I've ever watched. But I mean, I just jumped in midway through our podcast, and there was like 700 messages talking about anything from cunt to X-Men to
they're having fun in there right
waiting
now.
for the parents to come back, which they're referring to us because we have no control of our DM group. So it's been a blast, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, or was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Somebody in the DM group discovered that, oh, hey, anybody in the DM group can change the name of the DM group. And so they did. And then they also discovered, oh, hey, anybody in the group can also change the pictures. So they did. They decided
multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times. So now instead of the Produce Stand logo as our DM group picture, it's a picture of me with a boa and a tiara for my super soft birthday. So thanks, guys. Doesn't matter. I tried to change it back. They just changed it again. So I've completely lost control. It's a lot of fun though. And if anybody wants to join the fun and the chaos, DM me and I will add you to the group. So yes, I mentioned next week's we're going to have the Ag Hall social. So this was a great hit last time. We had about a dozen people, 12 to 15 people on last time, listeners of the show on a Zoom call, and we had a chance, had a lot of fun catching up and talking about Letterkenny and all that other stuff. So we're hoping to do the same this time. And as I mentioned, we'll do the draw for the Diabolical Produce Stand t-shirts as well. And maybe we'll do some trivia. We'll have some fun. Oh, and by the way, it's Awesome's birthday, so I'm sure we'll have something to celebrate there.
Yeah, there's also some challenges about some partaking in the Century Club. So
oh yeah,
I'll be interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, somebody made the suggestion that perhaps we do a Century Club. I'm not going to. I'm not going to participate, and I'm not going to encourage participation. But hey, everyone's an adult; they can do what they want. Just remember, it's going to be recorded and put out for everyone to listen to. And I've already mentioned the iTunes review contest. So yes, lots going on. Oh, and I mean, last week we also started getting pictures of the wrapping from Michelle Milet and a bunch of other cast members. They've wrapped up shooting in Sudbury. So seasons 10 and 11 are in the can. Now they just have to, I guess, edit and do all that fun stuff post-production. So who knows when we're going to get it. Yeah. So and final thoughts. So Tanya, what do you have?
I have a question mark on my page with Century Club to circle back with you later.
Yeah, remember the drinking game from what was it? Was it Different Strokes? The cunt episode, the drinking game where they do 100 shots of beer.
Oh, 100 shots in a minute.
Yeah, or a minute. Yeah,
no, not in a minute. Per minute.
Oh, per minute. Yes. In a minute. Ooh. All right, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, would you like to participate in that? I think they would all love to see that happen.
Oh no. I respect my stomach and do not want to. I wish for it to be pumped.
Dean, you're more than welcome to join, and Tiara too, if you'd like. It'd be kind of cool to have you there. Like I said, last time we had about a dozen people, and it was organized chaos. So but it was fun. So feel free to join us next. It's going to be next Wednesday, not Thursday, because Thursday is Canada Day. So it's going to be Wednesday instead. So there you go. Oh, and Dean, do you want to talk about what you're doing Thursday?
Yeah, because we'll be doing something on Canada Day where we're going to be talking about seasons 10 and 11 and what we're expecting out of them, as well as the Shoresy spinoff, and we're going to be doing it live streaming on our YouTube. So find on YouTube at How Are You Now podcast out there. So we're going to be starting at on the 1st at 5:30 Pacific. So that's the plan, and we'll go for until everybody gets tired, I guess.
Yeah.
So
it's a marathon.
Yeah, exactly. So if after Wednesday's Ag Hall Social, you guys are still up for some Letterkenny fun stuff, you can tune in the next day on the How Are You Now podcast for that live stream. Tanya, do you have any final?
Yeah, I was going to say, say what you want about this season. We had the longest podcasts ever. We absolutely topped out and beat all records. So there was a lot of conversation, a lot of laughs, a lot of great moments. It was a good season to recap. It had its conflicts, especially its Victor Matt divisions, and then you two.
Those are the best parts of the produce stand, though, when Victor and Matt collide.
Yeah, so it was. And you know, what can I say? Valentine's Day, it finally pushed off Fresh Book.
Fart book.
Fresh
wow.
Book.
See, she's already forgotten it. I'm so proud of you, Tanya.
Fresh Book.
Oh my God, Fresh Book. That will be in season 11. So yeah, I'm looking forward to another. Sorry, Dean, what did you say about season 7? Like, is it something that is going to be? Is
no spoilers,
good
please.
one or
no
bad
spoilers,
one?
but that's a good thing. Yeah, why don't you tell?
I'll just look at my face.
He's super excited.
Right.
Oh, so you know what?
It looks like there's another fart episode coming.
So, not knowing what's going on, what are your hopes for season 7? What do you hope for in terms of storylines? Is there anything in particular you're looking?
More Glenn. God, I did not like that. His character at all for the first season. I probably even into season 2, he was icky. And Glenn. And now he's my favorite. Like, I can't wait. I want more of him. I love Glenn. Mm-hmm. I love his character. I'm liking the skids as well, which is strange because again at the beginning they were not my favorite. So all my non-favorites are quickly becoming my favorites, and I can't wait to see what happens with Wayne and Marie Fred. And whether that continues on or if it because he was pulling a ring out the last that we've seen.
Oh yeah,
so
that's right.
So looking forward to see. Oh, and Squirrely Dan's relationship, how that's gonna.
Oh, with Anita Dyck, well. Yeah, good ones. All right,
no, not Anita. With
not Anita. Lavina. Yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, I'll start off by saying, Dean, thanks again for joining us. I mean, it's always fun to have you on.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully you and Tiara maybe can join us next week. We won't hold you to it, but if you can make time, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get you and or both of you back for the season 7 recap. She's more than welcome to join as well. I'll say this about next season because I can't remember what happens next, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see the progression of relationship Wayne and Marie Fred. It'll be fun to see how things evolve with the skids. I think the Valentine's special was fun because we saw Stuart and Wayne kind of on an even playing field, and that was kind of different and fun to see. So more of that would be kind of fun, and I always like more Glenn and more Gail and more Squirrely Dan. Oh,
I also want to say I'm really looking forward to somebody getting Victor's MVP right.
Yeah, that may never happen. We'll see.
Keep dreaming.
Yeah, I want to see if that happens.
Victor, why don't you give us what you look forward to, and then also your closing comments.
Sure. Well, when you go digging for gold, mostly you're not going to find it, but when you do, it's grand, and that's kind of what this season 6 kind of was for me. So I feel like it was a win because we found the gold, and so if we can get that out of season 7. Just one brilliant episode. That's the bar I'm setting. Wow. So actually, let me do this. I want to find 2 golden nuggets this time. So if we can get 2 golden nuggets out of season 7, I think that'll be incredible, especially based on the face that Dean shared with us. So I'm aiming for 2 golden nuggets.
So what you're saying is challenge accepted by Victor there.
Yes, exactly. And Dean, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're anxiously awaiting the Seattle Kraken draft. I say that in just because I'm I'm sure that you have no idea what I'm talking about. But,
Well, I know it. I know it's happening. I just didn't know when, or I haven't paying that much attention. So
no, I'm sure.
But I remember
you
you guys were all excited about having a hockey team, and it was going to be close to where you live. But now you're moving.
Now we're moving, yeah. So you can blame Tiara for that. So I don't. I mean, you know, I don't like moving.
No, it's not
sucks.
fun. Yeah, it does suck.
But if it will make Tiara happy, I will do it.
You're a good man. You're a good man, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, first off, of course, thanks, Dean. I always love when you come on. These episodes are fun. Get your perspective. I know you're the ultimate super fan. I think you know more than any of us about this damn show, and I love it. And it's so fun to get that. On that note, I mean, I love I look forward to this every week, as I said at the beginning. I mean, it's been a rough few weeks for me. This is my highlight every damn Thursday, and I look forward to it. And I love that. I mean, our listeners say the same thing. We built this community behind it. And the fact that every week now we've got a listener or another super fan joining us to talk about the show. And that honestly is what I'm looking forward to more. I love that it's become that. And we're getting these different perspectives, and these people are coming and joining us every week to talk about the show that we love. And yeah, I mean, the story's great. I'm looking forward to where it's going, but this is what I love. This is what I love about the show, and what I'm looking forward to more is continuing this craziness. And if you hear any growling, that's Moose, and he is going absolutely crazy beside me right now. He's got the zoomies, and it's been so much fun. Perfect timing, right as my final closing thoughts.
There you go.
Looking forward to season 7. Let's do it, guys. It's been a blast.
Dean, the last word goes to you.
Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it very much, as I always do. I am looking forward to 10 and 11 coming out. Looking forward to doing our live stream. That should be fun. That'll be the first time we've done one for How Are You Now. Anyway, check us out on How Are You Now Pod on Twitter. Come listen to Tiara and MJ and Lindsay as they talk stuff about the Boondocks on the Boondocks podcast. And Don and I are back as we've had you on for PodScure, and that's going again. So that's come check us out there as well. So anyway, that's all I've got.
That's great. Again, thanks again. By the way, about the Twitter DM group, I had a kick out of was a couple of days ago. They took the Victor MVP thing a little too far.
Oh yeah,
when they started discussing the movie Jaws, and they started debating who Victor's MVP would have been for the movie Jaws. So that's the kind of crap that's going on our Twitter DM group.
Victor, did you give it any thought, by the way?
I did give it some thought. I just, like I said before, on this is serious business. I'd have to do a rewatch to make sure that I'm,
I know. I can tell you what it is. It's Hooper's paper cup that he crushes.
See, I said it's Harry's bad hat.
That's a bad hat, Harry. Yeah, that's one of my top 3 movies of all time. So
yeah, I would have to give it to the and you know what, like, the kids don't get it these days. I don't think young kids could sit through that movie today. But so you'd have to give it give the
MVP.
The slow build. Right, the slow build. That movie is the prototypical slow build of its time.
Yeah,
right.
That movie was responsible for most of Tanya's nightmares as a kid.
God,
it could be that one guy's wife's Christmas ham that he threw out there for the shark to take away.
There's so many scenes.
Yeah.
Scenes.
Anyway, I'm going to play us off with one of my favorite songs from this season, and it's Fashionable People by Joel Plaskett, Emergency.
I thought you'd do it with the Jaws theme.
No, wasn't in the episode. Let this one marinate for a bit. Great video, too. I highly recommend the video.
My dog, I think, is foaming at the mouth.
I feel foolish.
All right, and that's all we have for this episode. Next week is the Egg Hall Social. Please note, it'll take place on Wednesday, June 30th. That's Wednesday, not Thursday. We had a great turnout last time and a lot of fun, so hopefully we can have a repeat this time. Maybe even meet a few new listeners. If you're interested in attending, please DM us at ProduceStandPod on Twitter, and I'll send you a Zoom link. Don't forget to give our sponsor, Diabolical Coffee, some love. They're at diabolicalcoffee.com. Right now, you can use a promo code ProduceStand for 10% off any purchase from their site. And if you'd like to support the podcast, rate us on iTunes and become a patron. There is a Patreon link on our Twitter profile at ProduceStandPod. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok. Thanks for joining us. Now we're going to have some puppers on Discord. Who's joining us? On behalf of Dean, Matt, Victor, Tanya, and myself, thank you for listening and have a great week.
Fashionable.